Thanks very much, Prab, for joining us here on ET Now. You last year just completed your 10-year milestone of being in India. This is your 11th year of operation in the country. In fact, you also rolled out a report recently that was about generating 36,000 crores worth of economic activity. And today, you have launched a whole host of initiatives so far as driver safety is concerned. Tell us about those features, those initiatives that you're taking, coming in as it does at a very, very important time when there have been concerns related to driver safety, especially in the gig economy.
Well, thank you. And it indeed has been a privilege to build Uber in this incredibly exciting market. We just recently crossed a 1 million active driver milestone, and that is an area which we take with deep responsibility. Today at the Uber Pragati event, we have introduced tons of new features based on feedback from drivers, which will improve their experience with Uber and make it more safer, easier and fairer. Just to give an example, when it comes to safety, we have introduced features like women rider preferred, which is targeted for our women drivers who give us a feedback that they want the preference to be matched to a woman rider in certain pockets or certain times of the day, and they can now do that by opting in through a simple swipe on the app. We also introduced helmet selfies focused on our fast-growing Uber Moto business, where drivers, before they can actually take a trip, will have to take a selfie and confirm through an automated algorithm that whether they are actually wearing the helmet. We have also shared details of our SOS integrations, where drivers, in case they need help, in addition to reaching out to Uber Safety, can immediately share details with a local police control center, their location, their details, etc., in case they want help. When it comes to making it easier, we introduced features like instant payments. You do a digital trip, post the trip within 5 seconds, you can press a button and try and get cash in your account. Or we have also introduced measures which will increase transparency for the platform. So for example, an earnings hub, which gives a very granular breakdown for every fare which the driver collects on the platform, how much of it goes to the driver, what goes to the government, third parties, and the small take which Uber takes of that. Or a deactivation center, which is a big feedback from many workers on the platform, that in case my account is put on hold on basis of a certain complaint, how do I get a redressal? So today they are able to now, through the app, have a deactivation request. They can provide more details, more evidence. And again, this is industry first, and we hope this not only raises the bar on safety on the Uber platform, but actually encourages other players in the ecosystem to also raise the bar.
Absolutely, and which is very much needed and is the need of the hour, Prab. So a lot of these features that you talk about, they integrate AI, into these safety features, like for example, the helmet safety feature as well. I want to understand a bit more into how you're using the tech stack that the country has. You also are looking at partnering with ONDC as well. Where has that conversation moved, and how are you further deepening the AI integration, given that it's a buzzword and everybody's been looking at generating efficiencies via AI?
I think I'm a leader who kind of stays away from buzzwords, so I will focus on what we influence. We are incredibly proud to associate with the digital public infrastructure in India, and we have embraced UPI. For example, one of the features we introduced today was instant payments for the driver's side, where drivers are now able to cash out instantly, even if it's a digital trip. We've already had that feature for riders. We're also using Aadhaar, which helps improve the speed of onboarding and the verification of the driver profile instantaneously, again, thanks to the Aadhaar infrastructure. And we continue to be excited about the opportunities which other future bets like ONDC will provide, that we believe will increase the digitization of the overall commerce ecosystem, and that's good for drivers. And we'll continue to be on standby to introduce new features and services to make the experience better, the way we have done for drivers today.
Okay, so Prab, help me also understand, when you speak of features, you have several features on your platforms. In fact, you have horizontally expanded the Uber service in India for consumers. You have Uber Green, you have the premium service as well. You also have the shuttle service and a whole host of other services. How are those shaping up? And help us understand the new bus venture that you want to get into. You're at present in about 2-3 cities. Where are plans for the expansion of those services currently stand as of now?
India is an incredibly exciting market for us, both because how under-penetrated it is right now in terms of ride-hailing services and the scaling of digitization, the demographic dividend, and the infrastructure creation.
Right.
And we believe the best way to serve this diverse market is to offer multiple products and services which cater to either different segments or for the same user with different use cases. So the kind of services which you spoke about, they're still at a very early stage. I think we have our task cut out to expand these services and take them deeper into each city we operate. For example, whether it be buses, three-wheelers, two-wheelers, intercity, Uber Pet, Uber Black, in addition to our Uber Premier and Uber Go service,
Right.
but also expand our footprint. I think, and that's why what we are doing today when it comes to Uber Pragati, we've actually spotlighted the heart of the business, which is our drivers. We need our drivers to feel safer, need drivers to feel that Uber is actually making their experience easier and also fairer, because they are the ones who are providing all these services which the consumers are experiencing. And hence, what you see this again as an industry-setting benchmark on all these fronts. One of the services which, for example, we have helmet selfies is actually a reflection of the fact that how two-wheelers is one of the fastest growing parts of the portfolio, and we are innovating in response to the growth we are seeing in the market.
Absolutely, Prab. Also help us understand now when we speak about, during the pandemic, it was a very, very challenging time for not just the ride-hailing sector, but overall for many different sectors, some of whom have come out with flying colors. What about Uber? And help us also understand in terms of the kind of shift that you've seen in consumer behavior. Let me also at that point go to 2022 when Dara Khusro Shahi stated that India is a difficult market to sort of grow into because of the kind of consumer spends that the company had seen. How much of a change has Uber seen from that point to now? What are some of the consumer trends, whether it is in spending, whether it is in hailing cab services, as far as those trends are concerned?
I think what the pandemic was obviously a very hard time. It was not just a health crisis, I believe it was a humanitarian crisis, and certain categories like ours were impacted materially. But now we are grateful that that's in the rear view mirror, where we have seen the industry bounce back as cities have opened up. In fact, across categories and across all metrics, the pre-pandemic zone is actually now much behind in the rear view mirror.
Right.
The few trends we are seeing is, I think one is increasingly consumers are more comfortable using shared mobility services because they want the benefit of a technology-enabled and validated ride-hailing experience. So the fact that the driver has gone through background checks, the fact that we're able to actually take a trip and track it. So even if you don't want to take a three-wheeler, they would prefer taking it on a ride-hailing app in certain cities than doing it by hailing the vehicle on the street side. Second is we're seeing an increased focus on safety. And I think you see us responding loud and clear to that trend. Safety has always been the heart of what we do, but the pandemic has actually elevated the expectations to an even higher level, not just for riders, but also drivers. I think today, for example, we're focusing and spotlighting what we're doing for drivers is a signal that we are responding to a clear need and a stated request from drivers to make their experience safer. I think so we are very proud of that. So for example, so one of the features we are very proud of is the SOS integration, where post the pandemic, we have actually made an outreach to multiple law enforcement agencies, offered to integrate our core technology with them so that we are able to provide those details. And the fact that post-pandemic there is digitization happening at scale, there is thereby far higher openness and appetite to do those integrations, which I think is again setting the tone for the industry. So we continue to be excited about the way the industry is. Having said that, there is a lot more still to be done.
Okay, so when you say that there's a lot more still to be done, and of course you have plans, for the next couple of years, and of course you are venturing into the bus service. There's several other verticals that I spoke about, and now you're looking at driver safety as well. What is the kind of expectation that Uber has, or companies like yourselves has, so far as policy support from the government is concerned? What is it that you'll be looking forward to in the next couple of years, even as there's going to be more and more electrification in the country, and of course there are going to be more and more people who will see these kind of services being available by them?
We remain incredibly bullish on the India market, and I think our role as an integral part of the core ecosystem, both in terms of economic impact but also enabling livelihood. I think one of the areas which we are incredibly passionate about is helping create an industry-wide safety net for drivers. Gig work is a reality, and ride-hailing platforms are going to grow multiple times over the next few years. And we want to compliment the government for both houses of the parliament to have passed the Code on Social Security, which is, we believe, a landmark legislation and can actually not just transform gig work by providing an industry-wide safety net. It also sets a precedent for multiple other markets globally to copy from. So we are urging the governments to actually bring that to an implementation phase quickly. In fact, today we announced our commitment to, even before that is notified, encouraging drivers to sign on to the eShram portal. We already have many drivers on that. We are going to run a specific incentive program to actually encourage drivers to sign up. What that does is it creates word of mouth, it creates virality, more drivers get encouraged, and we think that will actually provide the safeguards necessary for the gig workers, and we are at the forefront of advocating for this.
Absolutely. And, more and more people, I think you've already stated that as well, that more and more people are going to now offices, and of course, they have high disposable incomes as well. By the way, I don't use my personal car at all. I only use cab hailing services. But we do hope that there's going to be any moderation in prices, or are you going to be looking at escalating the prices further?
Our core thesis has always been that there are three parts of the Uber value proposition which are fundamental to us continue to serve the consumers. Number one is safety, number two is affordability, and number three is reliability. Whether you're able to get a vehicle of the kind you want at the pricing you want, and it turns up without any surprises. Affordability is all about keeping prices low, and safety is heart of what we do. So I think we actually obsess about keeping prices at a level which will allow fair earnings for drivers who are actually the asset owners and are putting in the effort, and yet keep the prices low enough so that more and more consumers can opt in. And that's what we are kind of focused on. The fact that we're introducing new products like three-wheelers, two-wheelers, buses kind of reflects that we are encouraging more consumers to join the platform. The fact that we are providing earning transparency to drivers gives them the confidence to drive with Uber, because it's a very strong trust building measure. And all these efforts then allow us to manage the marketplace in a holistic manner. And I think the heart of it still continues to be making sure that the drivers continue to get attracted to the category, and we are seeing that play out. And we need to stay obsessed, because a happy driver means a happy rider.
So Uber is not just increasing the economic value, but also increasing employability, providing more options for employment so far as your driver partners are concerned. Prab, help us also understand the competitive landscape, in the sense that how are you looking at that? Because competitive intensity from the time when you entered the India market in 2013 has only increased manifolds now. Your competitors are also getting into delivery services as well, while you are expanding horizontally only. Karnataka government is also looking at launching their own cab hailing service. Then there are specialized cab services which are only catering to airport pickups and dropbacks. How are you looking at the competitive intensity building up, and how are you gearing up for that?
One thing I've learned in the last 10 years of having built this business is competition is actually great signal that the industry is attractive, that the category is growing and will grow faster, because more competition actually means more innovation, more consumers digitizing, more earners entering the platform. Having said that, I think our core philosophy is we like to be competition aware, but not competition obsessed. Okay. We need to focus on our strengths and really focus on the basics of what we believe the value which we bring, which is right now we are hyper focused on the mobility opportunity. We believe there is still a lot more to be done. This is one of the most under-penetrated markets. We need to offer both the depth and the breadth of services and go deeper. And we need to be able to serve the drivers in a very holistic manner and put them front and center to provide these services. And that's where Uber Pragati as an event talks to that. So we are obsessed about playing to our strengths, and we're a disciplined operator, and you'll continue to see us do things which matter and raise the bar in the industry for everyone, both on the rider side but also on the driver side.
So over the past 10 years, you've achieved several milestones and launched all of these services, and now you have Uber Pragati. Prab, over the next couple of years, what are some of the key milestones that you will be looking at so far as Uber India's journey is concerned?
One of the things which I shy away from is crystal ball gazing and put milestones out there. I think I like to keep our head down in the details and keep kind of executing with discipline. I think we're going to stick to the basics. We're going to focus on, this is one of the fastest growing markets for Uber globally. Okay. It's the third largest market for us by volume, and we look forward to participating in the macro growth in the Indian economy and do our bit. But to do that is not about doing something super fancy, super kind of out there in social media. It's really about focused on the basics. Serving the drivers, making it safer, easier and fairer, enabling riders with choice, keeping prices low, and yet sustainable for drivers to keep coming and joining the platform and using technology as a differentiator.
So focusing on the basis is what Uber India is going to look at over the next couple of years. In terms of when you say that India is a very important market for you, you're present in over 70 countries, I believe. But what are the kind of investments that you're looking at making? Is the parent company looking at increasing those investments? And if so, by how much are you looking at increasing the penetration of those investments?
I think we don't share country-specific numbers, but the fact that India is one of our fastest growing markets no doubt means that we are continuing to invest in the market in multiple ways. And the dimensions of those investments are the kind which a strong technology company with strong operations does. Number one is, for example, Uber Pragati is an example of the kind of investments we are making for drivers,
yes.
Which are many of them are India first,
right.
Whether it be what we're doing on, for example, for Uber Moto helmet selfies,
right.
whether what the services which we are trying to provide, for example, mentorship, SOS integration. These are all material investments, which is a signal that how excited we are about the market. We are also excited about the innovation which is happening in the market being taken globally. So some of these features which are being iterated, some of it are being developed by our engineers in India and then end up being exported globally. And we are also very excited about the investments we are making in growing our vehicle and earner base. At the end of the day, the earners and vehicles are the ones which will be the rate determining factor on how fast we can grow. And we are continuing
right.
to obsess about putting them front and center. We need to make it easy to get them vehicles. We need to make it easy for them to get financing. We need to make sure that the drivers, when they have choice, they prefer Uber. Pragati is a signal around kind of our commitment towards that. And God forbid if something goes wrong, there is a safety net, and that's a code on social security comes through, and our push on e-Shram adoption will hopefully get us there.
Absolutely. Prab, now when we speak about, mobility, e-mobility is a very crucial part of India's, automobile ecosystem. Now, let me give you some specifics. Now, government plans to electrify 30% of private cars by 2030, 40% of buses and 70% of commercial cars. I want to understand, where is Uber so far as its journey into electrification is concerned? You have tie-ups with industry partners as well, but give us more details about that.
We, as the leading ride-hailing player in the market, take our responsibility and obligation to further the sustainability agenda very seriously. In fact, that's why we were among the first player in the industry to launch Uber Green, which is now live in multiple cities. We announced it a little more than a year back, and it's already live in multiple cities. We are encouraging not just cars, but three-wheelers and two-wheelers to come onto the platform. And that's a journey which we will stay on. It's a massive transformation which the whole ecosystem needs to go through, and we believe it is a team sport. Our role is to be a catalyst and make sure that when assets which are electric come onto platforms, they are able to earn predictable, steady revenue. But at the same time, others have a role to play. The government has a role to play. For example, policy making which encourages subsidies for ride-hailing platforms or ride-hailing vehicles versus the same subsidies going into private vehicles could be a game changer. For example, financiers have a role to play to enable green financing at rates which are more affordable for an individual driver or a fleet to be able to electrify their vehicles. And then OEMs, which are manufacturing vehicles, to make sure that the vehicles which they offer, the price point continues to go down. Right now, still the most commonly used vehicle in the four-wheeler space is 50% more expensive than an alternative CNG vehicle. So we need to be able to make it an economically viable proposition. We are playing our role, but we are also holding others accountable on that.
Absolutely. Final few questions before we let you go. Prab, when you mentioned that you're looking at, government support as well, and of course subsidies have been given via FAME 1, FAME 2 and now FAME 3 scheme to the EV ecosystem. But is that a conversation that you're looking at having with the government in the near future?
We continue to have dialogues with both state and central government on our vision and our learnings on electrification, given we have the benefit of working in 70 different countries. I think we continue to engage with policymakers. For example, what we are doing on code on social security and continue to advocate for drivers for the government to actually implement that or our push towards e-Shram. So we continue to play our role in that ecosystem in our dialogue with the policymakers.
In fact, that's one story that we'll be continuously following up on so far as government stakeholders are concerned. And all the very best for the next few years. And we can't really wait to see the number of milestones that Uber in India will cross. On that note, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for speaking with me.